Hey, it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We're zooming in and focusing in on a really important aspect of healing, working through growing and finding yourself as a viewer had so adeptly asked. We did receive a great viewer question that on the channel, and that is, how do you find yourself? And this is a great question, and this might sound very odd, strange, or, how could this be? Yet this is an experience oftentimes if you have encountered abusive relationships, physically abusive, emotionally abusive, with toxic individuals, those people who are narcissistic, sociopathic, or psychopathic individuals, those people who present with a very highly inflated sense of self-importance and coupled with a lack of empathy, meaning that they don't really connect with, validate, or interact with your feelings, your wishes, your desires, and sort of really who you are. And so you can imagine, if you are not validated, if you are physically abused, you're emotionally abused, psychologically abused, spiritually abused, really on all layers and levels of your being. Remember, you are a human being, not a human doing. You're not just an object. You have a consciousness. You have a sense of internal dialogue. What is right? What is wrong? You have your own experience, perspective, feelings, personhood, and identity. And if these are not acknowledged, validated, nurtured, embraced, or brought to light, so to speak, then you don't have the experience. It's like reading a book, but never being able to discuss it. You can't bring it to life. If you can't discuss it, you can't process, you can't add words to it. And so it is so important to then develop what we call an internal dialogue or an internal language, where it comes to really working through the hardship, the pain, the emotional blocks, sort of not really knowing what your best self is, your passion, your interest, where you want to go, what you can do, living in the solution, knowing your creative spark, knowing your genius, knowing who you are, your I am, and living that 100% freely versus being relegated to feeling like you are a victim. If you are living as a victim, you are living in reaction or response to another's treatment. And your identity then begins to be caught up in that other person. You are not then caught up in yourself. You're not responsible and accountable to yourself, your I am 100%. The internal dialogue, which is generating those feelings, is now taking you down the wrong road. You are off track. You are out in left field. You're out in the bleachers. You don't know who, you can't get a perspective. You can't see clearly. You're not living out of tenacity, direction, motivation, your life purpose. You're sort of, you don't know who you are because you've been so annihilated by this individual. Annihilated means sort of broken to pieces, not really validated, not embraced. And this is a psychological requirement and need that you are able to grow through. These are part of your personhood, the growth of your personality, and certain psychological stages which you must meet in order to grow beyond. So, just like a child, goes through physical growth, you go through psychological growth. And this is, in the neurological network that it wires and fires, and is able to enact all the brain circuits, which are then self-generating and then create new connections and new neural pathways, which then become stronger. And once those are strong, you have that strong sense of self. You have the words I am. You feel that resonating. Not only can you speak it, but you can feel it physically. You can feel it in your emotional body. You have a guttural presence. People say, I am, which is kind of like really unsure. It's not coming from your core being. It's not coming from your gut. A lot of people have trouble then, in their workplace or relationships because they're not coming from a strong sense of self. They're not coming from that internal energy. They're not coming from that mindful place, which oftentimes you need to get to that mindful place to be able to live from there, speak from there, decide from there, and dream from that space. And so really the importance of the internal dialogue is realizing what you are saying in how you are saying? Is your voice, a lot of I don't know, I guess? Do you have a lot of hesitation, deliberation? Are you feeling shy? Are you feeling inadequate? Do you have social anxiety where you're afraid of breaking out in a sweat? Things become stress triggers. All of a sudden you've got the electrode, stress, pressure coming on. Is this just a vocalization, a story that you're telling yourself, or can you see the reality for what it is? This is a fun event. I am excited and I am happy. Look at your language, especially as it dictates how you feel, how you experience what you do. Because if you'll see that oftentimes your internal dialogue is responsible for what you accomplish or what you don't accomplish, for who you become or who you don't become, for the choices that you make or you don't make. If you are stuck in an internal dialogue, your word is law. Your word is bond. Your words, you talk about the word, your words direct your feelings, which direct your thoughts, which direct your experiences, which just, completely direct who you then become, how you vocalize, and it becomes a whole cycle. It becomes then, perpetuated over time, becomes a mood, which becomes a temperament, which then becomes your personality, your personal reality, and then your identity of who you are. So, you talk about, he's a great person, or he's a very successful business owner, or he or she's a great leader. There's a cultivation of the internal voice that makes that person get them to where they are. And that person, who I always recommend in the recovery journal, to have a mentor, to have someone who you look up to have someone who you emulate, who you feel is a role model, a mentor. And this, and to have an image of them. An image is powerful. The subconscious mind responds to images more so than the written word. So I could show you a picture of a bath with steam coming out of it, or I can say the word bath. Which one resonates more strongly with you? If you are able to answer that question, then you're able to fully understand the importance of images and how the brain, the subconscious mind, reacts to it, and then you get it, you understand it. So that's why it's so important to replace your old mentors, i.e. the traumatic bonded individuals, to get rid of them, get rid of the images, and instead surround yourself with mentors, advisors, your mastermind, people who you look up to and emulate as role models, who have the qualities that you admire, that you need, quote unquote, that you look up to, that you might be missing or want to grow to be like. Remember, like the little child who is growing up, so your emotions will grow up to be. And to surround yourself with images of these people. So it might be a religious figure, it might be a medical figure, it might be a musician, it might be an artist who you look up to. I think if you were to ask, everybody, who do you admire? Who do you want to be like? You can provide an answer. And you can also provide a picture of them. So one important key tool that I want you to really kind of engage in, and not kind of engage in, definitely engage in, and that is the practice of surrounding yourself with images that validate and resonate with who you want to become. Surrounding yourself, for example, a lot of people might have had pictures of previous presidential candidates up in their house. The Jack Kennedy, the Rockefeller, the Obama, President Obama, having pictures of these people who they feel represent their ideal, who they have worked towards, who exemplify who they admire. A religious figure, the Pope, a specific priest in your area, maybe a doctor in your area, a teacher in your area, someone who embodies the values that you admire and look up to. Keeping a picture of them around and then gazing on it several times a day, and to take in their qualities and know that there's a give and take with the images that you have around you. There is a give and take with the art around you. There's a give and take with the objects. So if you're surrounding yourself with objects that trigger anxiety, the depression, the trauma bond, and keeping you stuck in denial, and furthermore solidifying that negative self-talk and negative language, and that carries on into your relationships, your workplace, etc., then you need to remove those from your environment and surround yourself with positive images. Positive meaning nurturing and validating of who you are, not only the written word, because the written word is powerful. So saying, I'm so excited to discover my interests. And even just saying that will bring that to light. Your mind will begin to find ways to satisfy that command, because the subconscious mind responds to commands. We're not taught this in kindergarten. Hey kids, guess what? Your mind responds to positive questions and will search to find the answer. You're not often taught this. Your teacher, your doctor, your parents, etc. It comes with life learning and life needs to really become your greatest self, to experience joy and bliss in your life. Really sort of the divine, the being on all cylinders that life is meant to be. So if you surround yourself not only with images, your body will then resonate with their qualities. You'll begin then to become like those mentors. You become who you surround yourself with. So if you surround yourself with positive, happy, uplifting, validating people who empower you, who embrace you and acknowledge you for who you are, and then want you, desire you to go to the next level without being insecure, without the competition, without the jabs, do you see how important this is for you to actually begin to take your life, your verbalization, your communication, your behaviors to the next level, which then becomes your feeling, your experience, which becomes your mood, temperament, and your identity. So we talk about a positive identity. And I'm going to go into the next video a little bit more in depth into how to find that, really from the bottom up, if you will. So you can review this again and again, but realize that this is so important for you to take steps, to get a scissors, to get a magazine, to put this up, in your home, on your refrigerator, in your bedroom, in your living room, in your dining room, in your car, in your wallet, wherever it is. Surround yourself with images of this, gaze upon it, and realize that you admire these people because you personally have those qualities within. You just need to open them up, air them out, begin to call them forth, and then live from them, express them, and surround yourself with people who will then celebrate you, not just tolerate you or try to undermine you. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos, that they do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.